Hello, and today we are going to be going through a fairly simple method for doing some memory editing for Need for Speed World with the end goal of changing one of your vehicles. In my case, I will test ride a Ford Crown Victoria, and I'll tell you why in a little bit later, for any vehicle you can find in your cars folder. A little bit of context before we get started. For those that don't know, Need for Speed World was alive and well back in, I don't remember, probably 2000, somewhere between 2010, 2015, around there. It then got shut down and died from EA got rid of it, not profitable anymore, something stupid like that. And it got reawakened by a community thing called SoapBox Race World. Google that if you don't already have the game and use it, currently here in 2021 and beyond. There's plenty of tutorials in getting involved if maybe you've played Need for Speed World in its past and want to play it again, not realizing it was currently available here in the present. I only just learned of this recently, started playing, and remembered this fun memory editing trick to trick the game into displaying any vehicle model without editing any of your performance values or anything of that effect, including, and this is the big catch, cars you're not supposed to be able to use. Including things like all the traffic vehicles, the AI police cars you're not supposed to be able to drive. You could also replace for other vehicles that do exist in the game, but I don't really see the point of that because you can actually just buy those. So this is just more of a fun trick to see and kind of half-use cars that you're not allowed to. So I'll try to keep this as short and sweet as possible, yet sort of make it an inclusive tutorial for people that aren't really familiar with how any of this works. So this is the main install folder for SoapBox Race World. Again, it's not Need for Speed World anymore, even though the EXE is obviously, called what it was back in the day. You are going to need one third-party software, a memory editor. In this case, I used Cheat Engine. It's very old. It's existed for a long, long time. Installing it is a little bit of a hassle because most antivirus softwares think it is either a Trojan or malware. There is a reason for that, and I realize that sounds sort of counterintuitive because, well, is this a trick? No. Here it is on my computer. I'm using it. The reason that most antiviruses complain about it and throw a hissy fit is because it is a memory editor. Generally, that's not a good thing, other than this very exclusively specific use case of game hacking. It is an online game, however, performing this thing that we're doing and sticking to the free roam of the game, as is here without entering an event, is within the parameters of the service rules as available on Discord. Each different server that's available has its own rules, but the primary official SoapBox Race World is like WUGG, something like that, does permit any sort of free roam hacking you want. So, moving on. We're going to get right into what to do. So again, you need Cheat Engine. You could use ArtMoney, which is another memory editor, or really any other one if you're more familiar with this sort of thing. But keeping this fairly simple, and let's just say you're using Cheat Engine, we'll get right into the idea. With that, the game running, and you do need, for reference, unless you know this by memory, the car folder up. So this is where I have SoapBox Race World installed. It looks like this. Cars folder. All of the cars. Yours might look slightly different depending on what server you play on. I believe these shortcutted folders reference a different folder where mods are loaded in. Ones that are not shortcuts were in the game originally, before it got shut down. So, you need the source vehicles file, which either is going to be fairly self-explanatory, in our case Crown Cop, because for Crown Victoria, common police car, makes sense. Diablo for Lamborghini Diablo SV, a Lotus Evora, so it should be pretty easy to find it. If you're trying to replace a car that is not easy to find, you have fun looking for it amongst, these coded car folders. I would suggest buying in-game a vehicle that has a simple folder name that you can look through here. Again, we're using Crown Cops to Crown Victoria, so we're going to take that name, copy, and go to, let's pull the game up primarily, and then have Cheat Engine. Here, So this little window here, hover over it, select process to open. You're going to do Need for Speed World. And these, I believe, are the default values. If not, just switch it to string. Make sure everything looks like this. And then paste the name. In this case, Crown Cop. And for scan, a lot of results. Looking for the one we want is really easy. Highlight all those. Control A. And copy them over down here where we can do something with them. Whoops. Don't know what that did. Anyway, Control A again. Highlight all of them. Change record. Type, make this a huge number, we'll say 500 just for convenience. It now opens up all these names of everything. We don't want almost any of them. We only want the ones that do not have anything else affixed to the word Crown Cop. So, scrolling through, we are looking for the sort of singular file names like this one. To unselect something, you're going to do hold Control and then click that. It unselects it, believes everything else selected. I've seen through experience there's almost always 5 other ones that only have the word and no other names. Once you've done that, right-click any of the things that are selected, do delete record, and when you hit yes, it will get rid of all the rest of them. Control A one more time. Right-click, change record, value, and we are now going to input whatever folder name you want. I'm going to use my personal favorite, the Heat 1 Civic Cruiser from the game you see in Pursuits that you're not supposed to drive. So I know from experience the folder name is Cop Midsize. No clue why. Don't know what the hell that's code for other than the word cop. Why midsize? I don't know. Don't know why I did that. So we'll change value of that to Cop Midsize. Click OK. And the next time you refresh the game's model, you will see, there it is. I remember learning this a long time ago when Need for Speed World was really around. I don't know why it works. And as you'll see, nothing has changed about its equipment. If you had like wheels equipped or neons, I believe it would still show them, but I wanted it to look authentic, so I made sure that this car does not have any modifiers. All of your skill mods stay, your performance parts, its performance rating, and it actually behaves in-game just like the car that you started with. It does not affect performance values and such. Therefore, you'll hear the sound, engine noise, experience the performance of, etc., all of the characteristics of the original car. However, you get to enjoy seeing the car you're not supposed to use, which is gobs of fun, I think. The license plate, I've noticed frequently, just is not there. That is a minor quirk of this method of displaying a car you're not supposed to be able to use. Again, there's no real goal to this. You're not gaining an advantage. That would be bad and cheating, and you're not going to go into events with this, because that is against the rules. But you can screw around in free roam. The best part is, because the Ford Crown Victoria in the primary server that you're allowed to do this sort of thing in has both lights and sirens with buttons L and K respectively, they're actually mapped correctly to the model. Interesting feature of that, and another element being, given that you are memory editing and not doing something server-sided, that guy right there in that red Porsche can't see the difference. He thinks on his screen I'm driving for Victoria, that's all he'll see, and with that siren activated with the K key, he will see me sitting here in a Ford Crown Victoria. This is a local, on-your-own machine only sort of a modification. Again, it's just sort of fun to mess around with vehicle models you're not supposed to. I will show you, though, a limitation/quirk of this. It's a lot less evident with this model, but if you look very, very closely, we will go to the side of the vehicle. The car is a teeny, tiny bit sunken. More at the front than the back, I would say. It's a little bit flat on the tire there, more noticeable on the front. There's a reason for that. If I understand correctly, the game places in vertical space, so up and down, the vehicle's model centered where the original height would make most sense for the car that you replaced. So it still thinks there's a Ford Crown Victoria here to some degree, and is placing it height-wise where that would sit flat on the ground. However, due to this one being a different shape and height in total, part of it appears sunken. I'll demonstrate a more extreme example by switching out for a much taller car. Again, use that, that cars file folder to switch to anything you want. However, I know from experience that if we switch to Cop SUV, but always has to be fully capitalized and spelled correctly. You will get the police rhino in the game. And refresh, boom, there you go. It does appear correctly in the safe house. Wheels are flush with the floor. License plate is present. And when you go into the world, however, the license plate is gone, and you can much more... Oh, it's glitching. Hang on, there we go. You can much more prominently see the sunken tire effect. Vice versa is true. If you were to switch out for a car that's much shorter than your original vehicle, it will float, which is kind of funny. That basically explains what to do, how to do it. I'll monitor comments and probably, I hope, if I can, explain any, if anyone has any questions, concerns, confusion, if maybe I haven't been so super clear on something. I've done this little trick for a while, so I'm fairly familiar with it. That is the extent of what it can do. Again, you can choose any of the traffic cars. I think in the game's files there's even like a helicopter, and it seems to float correctly. But again, you'll never, with this method, change any of the performance. It's possible it changes the hitbox with collisions. I've never thought about that really until this moment. As I'm mushing against the wall, though, it seems fairly convinced to leave a chunk of space. So I'm assuming it is considering the Crown Victoria's hitbox. See right there. I'm thinking that, but maybe that's not true. Anyway, questions, comments, have a way at it. Again, I'll demonstrate, even on a different vehicle, it correctly maps lights to where they're supposed to be. This is my favorite thing to do with it, is just swap out for different police cars, because there's always been vehicles you can't use that I always thought you should be able to, and this is sort of the next best thing. Yeah, terrible at editing videos, and haven't recorded anything forever, so leave questions, comments, confusions, concerns, whatever. I'll try to be as constructive and helpful as possible. And happy memory editing, hacking, modifying things. Yeah, bye.